Okay, your homework's over 5.5, 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3. 5.5, you're going to start using the proportions that you learned how to do. This is, you're going to use similar triangles. Like when I draw a triangle down here, and if you have that triangle and the one that's on the wall, okay, the one on the wall is going to be a lot bigger than this one, but they're similar. They have the same angles and everything, okay? And their sides, like if we put that one up there, down here, the size it is on the wall would probably be about that big, up to this triangle, okay? But these are similar triangles. They have the same angles, and then the sides will be proportional. So if this was a 3 and a 4 and a 6, okay? On this triangle, if this one was doubled that, every one of the sides would be doubled. So if this one was 6, then you know this one would be what? 8, and this one would be 12. Okay? But they're not always exactly doubled, so you can't just always do it in your head. Okay? Let's get a triangle that has, it's supposed to be similar, but we have 3, 4, 5 here, 33, 44, so what would this be? Kind of small. Okay. You can put that into a proportion in case you can't do it in your head, okay? You could say this, well, let's put the side we don't know as part of it, okay? We're going to use that over one that we know. So we're going to say the hypotenuse over the bottom equals the hypotenuse of this one over the bottom. Okay? So we're going to do 33 times 5 divided by 3. Or if you saw that it was multiplied by 11, you would have realized that one was going to be 55. But you could do 5 times 33 divided by 11, and you're still going to get your 55. Let's do one with fractions in it, or decimals. You're going to have some with fractions in your homework. Okay, see this triangle and this triangle. They're both similar. Okay, if you need to find the x and the y, to find the x, you're going to have to use these numbers, and you won't want to use these because you'll have two things that you don't know. So if you use these two numbers, you'll need to use these two numbers also. So you need to put it, like, put your division sign where it'd be like, put this on top and that on bottom, or the other way around. But however you do it on this triangle, you have to do it the same on this one. Okay? If this triangle you have 2.5 on top, this other triangle you need the x on top. So you need the same side to be on the same part of your proportion. Okay? So if that's on top, this on bottom. We have x on top, we'll have 2.1 on bottom. Multiply those two and divide by 0.7. You should end up with 7.5. Okay? After you multiply that and then divide that. To get the y, you don't want to use these unless you plug the 7.5 in. If you want to, you can do that, but you're better off using numbers that you already, that you know that are exact. You're not sure if you figured this one out, so use the original problem numbers, okay? So use these two numbers and then the bottoms. Okay? So you're going to have a fraction there. 0.7 over 2.4 equals, so 0.7 over 2.4 equals 2.1 over y. And after you multiply those two and divide that one, you should come out with 7.2. You can check those on your calculator. Okay, what if we had a fraction in there? Because you do have a problem where you're going to have a fraction. Change it into improper, yeah. Okay, let's make this a little smaller here. Okay, we're going to, actually that one's an optional one. 3, 2, 1.5. 2x and 1. So to find x, actually you don't even need the 1.5, do you? You don't need these bottom numbers to find number 3. So you don't even have to do that one. You're just going to put 3 over 2 equals 2 over x, right? Make those into fractions. So 4 divided by 3. That does come out into a mixed number though. 4 over 3 is what? 1 and 1.
1/3.
1 left over, so 1 and 1/3. So on that one it's 1 and 1/3. Okay. Let's do one where you're like standing by something. Let's say we have a person here, curly hair. Okay. They're standing here. Okay, the wall they're standing next to, right here. See the wall is making a shadow that goes all the way over here. This person, their shadow is coming only to right here. Okay? So what you need to do is set it up where you have, like say this person is 5 foot tall. 5 foot from there to there. Say the wall is 11 foot. Okay. Let's say the person is casting a shadow that's about 4 foot long. You need to figure out how long the shadow is going to be for the building. Okay? So what you might want to do, because we don't have anywhere we can put a slash mark to put top and bottom, you may want to label, put object and shadow. And now you put the object, how tall is the object? Okay, the person is 5 foot. They're casting a shadow 4 foot. These are all in feet, so your answer is going to be in feet. Okay, so your object, your other object is 11 feet. So how long is its shadow? See the shadow, you don't know. So you may want to put the words over here to make sure you put them in the right place. 4 times 11 is 44, divided by 5, which comes out to 8 4/5. Or if you did it on the calculator, you'd get 8.8. So either one, 8.8 feet or 8 4/5. And that's in feet. So 1 mark is foot, 2 marks is inch. So that its shadow would be 8.8 feet. So that's how you're going to do that. Okay, let's say we have similar triangles here. Okay, you have this triangle out here. If you have this lake here, you can't really measure like across from here to here, can you? because you're going to have to walk around it unless you can stretch something across there. So if these are similar triangles, these are what they do like for surveying. They'll do stuff like this for surveying. They'll put a point here, a point here, and then that's when you see them looking through those things and measuring. That's part of what they're doing. Okay, let's say you have 360 yards from here to here, that side there. Let's say this one is 30 yards over there. Right up here, let's say we have 100 yards. Okay, if we actually twist this triangle around and put it down here next to it, this angle right here, see this angle comes around to right here. That's the empty angle right there, right? This one right here, this side, goes to the bottom, doesn't it? So that's your 100. This one right here comes all the way around to up here. Do we need to like parallel triangle and show you how it does it? Everybody see that? Let's say we had our triangle pointing down like that. Okay, this side is 30, this side is 100. Okay, if we actually turn it around, see how our 100 is on the bottom and our 30 is over here. Okay, so we have this length that we don't know, this one we do know. So now you can put it into a proportion. This over the length you don't know equals this over the length that you measured up there. Okay, so do that times that, divide by that by 30. 360 times 100, and then divide by 30. Is it about 1,200?
1,200.
1,200 yards. Okay? So you're going to have to look at these pictures and try to figure out which side goes where. Okay? You may have to put your little triangle there and turn it around, like we did with this triangle. Just have you a piece of paper and twist it around or something, if you can't picture it on your own. Okay? That works with any kind of a similar thing, not just triangles. Like this one, the X and 8 are in the same place. You put them on the same thing and probably use like the 3 and 4. Right? This one you use a 7 and Y, and the 3 and the 4 for the Y, right? For the Z, you'll have to do these two and the 3 and 4. Okay, so what you could do when you set this up, this is your big one, this is your little one. You could say the big on top, little on bottom. Or you could have both of them big. Like, you have the 8 and the X. The 8 is your big triangle, or your big pattern, whatever that this is. This is your big one, this is your little one. Okay, and we need the 3 and the 4, but which one goes on top? The 4 is the one from your big one, so it goes up here. The 3 is from the little one. There's your bottoms right there. 8 over Y, X, 4 over 3. That's how you find the X. 24 divided by 4. So if it's big over the middle, you'll go 7 over Y, and the big over the little again, right? Okay, so do that with any of the patterns or shapes that you have. The same side over the, make sure you do it, put something out here to help you. Make sure you get it on the right, the top or the bottom. Okay. 6.1%. Okay, you can do what the book says, but most percents you're going to be using something that makes it a lot easier, okay? The book shows you how to change it into decimal and all that, and that's because they want you to use decimal. You do need to know the decimal. When we go finding percents of something, I'm going to give you a different way to do it, okay? First of all, 6.1, you do need to learn the decimals, okay? 90%, 80% of something. To change it percent to decimal, you move it. Move your decimal 2 times. You know how 50% is half of something? It's 0.5. Okay, so you went 1, 2. So that decimal's in front of 5. So for 80%, move it 1, 2 times, it's 0.8. What if it was 120%?
1.2.
It's still 2 times. It's always 2 times. What if we had the decimal and we wanted to go back to the decimal, we wanted to go back to the percent?
Move it 2 over.
If we had 5.4, we'd move it the other direction 2 times. That would be 540%. Okay? So to go to decimal, you just have to move it back. Okay? To write it as a fraction, okay? To write it as a fraction, 80%. Percent always means out of 100, so you put 80 over 100. Okay? The first problems you do, it wants you to write it as a fraction, or another way, you could say 80 times 1 over 100. That's another way of writing it. That's 2 ways of writing it. And another way is 80 times 0.01, which is moving the decimal back twice. So it wants you to just move the decimal. It wants you to do it this way, and this way. Just writing it like that. The second part you have to do is just writing it with a decimal, okay? If you have a fraction, because you do have some like that, let's do number 28. You don't have to do that one. It says 61 3/4. The fraction part of it you need to turn into a decimal. Remember 3/4? You do the top number under the division. 3 divided by 4, 4 will go into 3. 4 into 30, 7. 4 into 20 is 5. So this part is 0.75. So it's 61.75. And this was a percent. Okay, it's not changed to a decimal yet, okay? Even though we wrote this as a decimal, we still have to do what we did before. Remember how we moved it back 2 times? We still have to move this back 2 times. So it's 0.6175 as a decimal. This part right here is 0.6175. So if you have a fraction, turn it to a decimal and then move the decimal back. Okay, what if it says that you have some word problems? It just wants you to turn the percent to a decimal. It's not something real hard you got to figure out. Like number 32 says there's 12.6%. The foreign-born population was 12.6%, the highest since 1920. You just have to look for the percent in there. It wants you to change it to a decimal. So just find the percent. You don't have to find the percent of anything yet. just changing it to a decimal. Okay, now if we have percent and we want to change it to a fraction, or if we have fractions, want to turn it to percent. Remember how we had 80% was 80 over 100? Right? Okay, if it gives us the fraction like 36 over 100, what percent do you think that's going to be? 36%. Okay? So if it's got a number over 100, that's your percent. Okay? Some of them won't be over 100 though. What if we have 2 over 10?
20.
Yeah. If you can multiply this by 10, if you can add a 0 there and add a 0 there, that will be 20%. Okay? What if it's 2/3? That won't turn into 100 on the bottom easily. Okay, if it won't turn into 100 easily on the bottom, you can turn this into a decimal. And then we've learned how to do a decimal to a percent, right? 2/3, do 2 divided by 3. 3 into 20 is 6, right? And it's going to keep doing that. It keeps repeating the 6, right? So, you're going to have 0 point, a lot of 6's. Now, that's your decimal of this number. Remember, if we have a decimal, how do we get it to a fraction? I mean, to a percent?
Move it back to.
From a decimal. If you don't remember, you don't move. I don't know which way is back and forward. You have to say left and right.
Right.
Because
To
to
the
me,
right.
back is this way.
To the right.
Yeah. To the right. Because some people say this is back and some people say that's back. So if you look at the 50%, what did we do? We moved it to the right. So we moved this to the right 2 times. So it's 66 point, repeating 6%. Remember what a repeating 6 is 2/3, isn't it? So you could say 66 and 2/3%. You could say 66 and 2/3 or 66 point repeating 6, either one. 1/3 would be the same way. It's going to have that repeating thing on it. How about 1/6? That's going to be a crazy one too. Turn that to a decimal. 6 will go into 10. 1. 6 will go into 4. 46. Keeps going 4, right?
Yeah.
So that one repeats. Okay, so to turn that into a percent, 2 times, right?
Yeah.
So you have 16 point, repeating 6. So you could put the repeating 6 or put 16 and 2/3%, right? You can do it either way. The repeating 6 is 2/3. How about a 1/3? 1 divided by 3 goes how many times into 10? 3. And that repeats, right? Okay, 0.3. So that going over twice is 33 point, repeating 3, or repeating 3 is 1/3, right? So it's 33 and 1/3%, or it's 33 repeating 3%. Okay, how about, let's do one that doesn't repeat. Let's go back to an easy one for a change. Let's go to 17 over 25. Do that into a decimal, but you don't have to. How are you going to get 100 on the bottom? Times it by 4. 17 times 4 is 68, right? So this one right here will be 68%. So you're going to have lots of converting back and forth. So maybe we should make a little chart of what to do from one thing to another. Okay, what if you have a decimal? You're going to percent.
Move it to the left.
Move 2 to the left.
Right.
Oh, to the right.
Okay, decimal to percent.
Oh, okay. Percent.
Okay, move it to the right. The decimal will go to the right 2 times, right? So percent to decimal will be the other way, right?
Yeah.
To the left. You're going to move your decimal 2 times to the left. What if you have a percent and you're going to a fraction? Like 50%, 68%.
Over 100.
You're going to put it over 100. And sometimes it'll want you to reduce it too, okay? So if you put over 100, like our 68% here, if we reduce that back, we'll get our fraction, this fraction right there. So put it over 100 and then reduce it, okay? What about fraction to percent?
Change it to a decimal. And move the decimal.
You either make it over 100 or change it to decimal. See, if it's like this, you could change it to over 100, or this one, we change it to decimal and then moved it. So fraction to percent, you're either going to change to decimal or you'll change to decimal and then move it, right?
Yeah.
Then move, after you get the decimal, you'll move it to the right 2 times, right? So that's one way you can do it, or change to a fraction that's over 100. And then the top number would be your percent, right? Okay, we got, what do we not have up there? Fraction to decimal we don't have written down. Fraction to decimal. How did we do that? We did the top number under the division sign. You divide it by putting the top number under the division sign. Divide by putting top number under division sign. Okay? So now that's all but decimal to fraction maybe? We haven't done a decimal to a fraction. Okay. If you had like 0.2, that's 2/10, right? That's the same as 2/10. So put the number over the last place value. Because if it was a 0.25, that would be 25 tenths 100ths. So put the number that follows the decimal over the place value. So you can put that into words. Put the number that follows the decimal on top, the place value, which is hundredths, that goes at bottom. So if you had a number like, well, if you had like 1.632, you're going to put all those numbers, 1632 over 10, 100, 1000. Okay? That's how you change it from a decimal to a fraction. You put all the numbers over the place value. Okay, so you're going to be doing lots of converting back and forth. And 6.3, that'll be the last section, right? Okay. You know what, 1, 3, and 5, I don't even like the way they translate these into an equation. On 1, 3, and 5, I want you to put it into proportion, okay? For doing percent problems, if you'll put the is part over the of part equals percent over 100. Okay? If you'll do that every time for your percents, then it should come out. For the increase, you're going to have to change the words a little bit, but you're still going to be able to use the proportion, and you'll be able to figure out any percent problem, okay? So I'm not even worried about if you even do 1, 3, and 5. Okay? You could just get rid of those. I don't even care about those. So just, you can cross them off your required list, or you can just put it into this thing if you'd like. I'll have to change it on my answer sheet. Okay, look at, let's do one that is not done yet. 100% of something's too easy. Number 12 says, what is 4% of $45? Okay? The is will be right before or right after the is word. Okay? Of is always following the of. It's pretty simple. Of is right there. This could also be written 4% of $45 is what? See, that's why it might be in front of the is or following the is. Of is always following of. Okay, we're going to put the 45 where the of is. We're going to put 45 on bottom. Get rid of my book. 45 is the of. The is the part you don't know. The percent is 4. And you put it over the 100 because percent means out of 100. Don't put the percent sign here, just the 4. Okay? Now you multiply these two numbers, divide by 100. Same thing we've been doing. 4 times 45, divide by 100. And what do you get?
18.
Not 18.
Yeah.
1.8? No?
18.
You got 18. No, you shouldn't have to move the decimal when you do these. 4 times 45. 4 times 4 is 60, 17, 18. 180 divided by 100. When you divide 180 by 100, that moves your decimal back twice. That's 1.8. 1.8, and this was dollars, so We just say, instead of 1.8, we put 1.80. $1.80. Let's do another one that, I don't see any more dollars. Yeah, I see a dollar one. Okay, what percent of $50 is $40? Okay, using this still. Is, what is our is part? 40. What is our of? 50. Percent? We don't know. Goes over 100. 40 times 100? 40, 2 more zeros. Divided by 50.
Yeah.
80?
Oh, no,
80 what? What are we finding?
Dollars.
No, what are
No,
we finding?
80%.
Percent. So look to see what you're finding. If it's is or of, it may be dollars, it may not be. But if it's the percent you're looking for, make sure and put the percent after it. So see, you can use it no matter what part you don't know. You just put it in there. We've done it where we didn't know the is and didn't know the percent. Let's do it where we don't know the of, where it says of what. Let's do 57 is 20% of what? We don't know the of.
57 is
57 is your is.
we don't know the of.
Don't know the of.
100.
20 is your percent. Don't put the percent sign. So 5,700 divided by 20. 285. And we didn't have any dollar signs. That was just a scribble there. So it's just 57 is 20% of 285. It's just 285. If you forget which one is on top, is it of or is on top? Look, they're alphabetical. I comes before O. So is on top, of is on bottom. Is over of, percent's over 100. And that's all. You can use that for doing 6.3. 6.3 will probably be the easy part. Using all those decimals. That's whatever. That's why I summarized it, how to do all the conversions.